After Jesus had finished instructing his 12 disciples, he went on from there to teach and preach in the towns of Galilee. When John, who was in prison, heard about the deeds of the Messiah, he sent his disciples to ask him, "Are you the one who is to come, or should we expect someone else?" Jesus replied, "Go back and report to John what you hear and see. The blind receive sight, the lame walk, those who have leprosy are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the good news is proclaimed to the poor. Blessed is anyone who does not stumble on account of me." As John's disciples were leaving, Jesus began to speak to the crowd about John. "What did you go out into the wilderness to see? A reed swayed by the wind? If not, what did you go out to see? A man dressed in fine clothes? No, those who wear fine clothes are in kings' palaces. Then what did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I tell you, and more than a prophet, this is the one about whom it is written, 'I will send my messenger ahead of you, who will prepare your way before you.' Truly I tell you, among those born of women, there has not risen anyone greater than John the Baptist. Yet whoever is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he." Retailers love Christmas, but they don't love the meaning of Christmas. They'd rather Christmas just be this philanthropic holiday where people can show that they don't need Jesus in order to be civil, in order to show that they love each other. Instead, they want them to open up their wallets and spend extravagant amounts of money on gifts. They don't necessarily want people to be opening up their hearts to Jesus. We can get by without that child in a manger, thank you very much. We'll settle for the less evocative image of that big man in the red suit who is in fact the embodiment of a god of materialism. If you're good, then this great God will bring you gifts in the late night of December 24th or in the wee hours of December 25th. But if you're not good, then you will find coal in your stocking. So you better be good, for goodness sake. Not, you better be good because the child laying in the manger is the very God who created me and you and deserves our adoration. Instead of Christmas adoring a Christ child, it becomes about adoring the fat man in the red suit who gives us what we really want. What did you expect to see? I have to apologize, one of you, this morning. Yesterday after the service, you were shaking hands with me and you said, "Pastor, happy holidays." And I grabbed you by the shirt collar and I put a stiff finger in your chest and I said, "Come on, man, live a little. The ACLU can't touch you here. Come on, wish me a Merry Christmas, darn it." I have to apologize. I said it in love, but you may have taken it the wrong way. What did you expect to see? It's a story from William Willimon. I'm wondering what it will be this Christmas season. Last year it was those red Starbucks cups which so offensively read, "Merry Christmas." No, for all of those who cried out against the injustice of it all, that Christmas doesn't have to have Christ in it any longer. We can just take Christ right off the cup and that will be good. And so some Christians didn't like this. They stood up and they put their foot down. And so when they went to Starbucks and ordered their drinks, they said, "My name is Christmas." And so when the barista brought out their drinks, they said, "Venti peppermint mocha for Christmas." Venti peppermint mocha for Christmas? Is Christmas here? Yes, here, darn it. Christmas is here. Come on, man, live a little. What did you expect to see? It's not the barista's fault. Can't blame them. Our passage this very morning hovers around the question, what did you expect to see? John the Baptist is a man who is unjustly incarcerated. In fact, he's a real menace to society because he tells Herod that he's not allowed to have his father's wife, or his brother's wife. Real menace to society. And so John has a lot of time to think. He's sitting there in his cell rotting away, twiddling his thumbs, and he's wondering now, is my cousin Jesus the Messiah? Did I get it right? Or should we expect someone else? And it's enough doubt for him to actually ask his disciples to go check in on this. Go ask Jesus the question. So his disciples asked Jesus, are you the one who is to come? Or should we expect someone else? What did you expect to see? Jesus replies, go tell my cousin what you see. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk. Those who have leprosy are cleansed. The deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the good news is preached to the poor. When John's disciples leave, Jesus turns to the crowd and asks them the same question about John. What did you expect to see? What you saw was the greatest prophet that ever tread this terrestrial ball. And yes, even the greatest prophet of all time is susceptible to doubt. We don't like to think of John that way. The greatest prophet can't doubt. How can he be the greatest prophet of all time and yet wonder? Jesus was his very cousin. He knew what was happening. He heard, he saw the heavens open and the dove descend upon him. How can he wonder? This is a thing for us. There are no porcelain saints. There are no saints that are painted in stained glass windows. They are all flesh and blood. They are real. And they all struggle with temptations, and they all struggle with doubts. Ask Peter about that the night that Jesus was betrayed. What did you expect to see? For John the Baptist, the doubt really came because Jesus was at work in the world in ways in which he didn't expect to see. He was at work cleansing, healing, restoring life. And I submit to you this morning that Jesus is at work in our world today in ways in which we don't expect to see. In ways in which makes us think that he is actually not at work in our world. When you celebrate your annual Christmas party this year, and your friends and family are there, and you are experiencing joy and happiness, Jesus is your source of joy. When you raise your eggnog high in the air, give a toast for another year of immense blessing, and not to mention the Cowboys being 11-1. Jesus is your cause for rejoicing. When you're tucking your kids into bed on that Christmas Eve, and you yourself slip into bed after getting everything ready for Christmas Day, and you have that special anticipation, Jesus is the cause for your excitement. What did you expect to see? It's by the grace of God, through the Son of God, our Savior, our Christ child, that we rejoice in this life. It's because of Jesus that you feel pleasure when you prop your feet up by the fire. It's because of Jesus you feel your spirit lifted at a finely decorated Christmas tree. It's because of Jesus your children love to gaze upon house after house that's been decorated with Christmas lights. It's because of Jesus that you're comforted by hot cocoa while listening to Christmas music. What did you expect to see? How did you expect to see the goodness of God this Christmas season? Everything you enjoy about Christmas, the New Year's, Easter, Thanksgiving, and your birthday all screams Jesus. It's because of Jesus that we enjoy life. Not only life, but every aspect that is good in life. All joy, pleasure, all fun are dim reflections of the one who embodies these qualities. Whenever you feel good, whenever you feel joy, whenever you feel warmth, the warmth of love, you are in fact experiencing Christ in your life. Christ is present in our lives in ways in which we don't expect. And the reason why we so enjoy the holidays is because we experience Jesus in it. That is something that culture cannot take away from us. And that's a hard lesson that the old Grinchy Grinch learned. Do you remember the story? The Grinch tried to snuff out old Christmas. He tried to make it really sad. And so he went to people's homes and stole their Christmas presents, their trees, their trimmings, their trappings, their feasts. And all he did was leave crumbs, too small for all the who mouses to eat. And so the story goes, 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the whoos, he was grinchiously humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up, and I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the whoos down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch. I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put a hand to his ear, and he said, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started low. Then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, the sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was very merry. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or another, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a bit more. And then what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he, himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. We shouldn't be surprised when culture should like to distance Christ from the very holiday which it points to. We should expect to see that. What are all Christians called to in this life except for to enjoy the holidays, to enjoy the traditions, to enjoy presents? While we do these things, we also allow our hearts to be raised in thanksgiving to Jesus, who gives us such lavish gifts to enjoy. So Starbucks this season can take its Christ off its cup, but it cannot take Christ out of the joy you experience when you sip off that cup. What did you expect to see? Someone in here this morning may say, Pastor, don't unbelievers receive the same joy from drinking Starbucks Venti Peppermint Mochas? I'm glad you asked, because yes, they do. But what you have just pointed out is the doctrine of common grace. God in his grace and mercy has shared gifts of joy and good things with all the world, even those who will refuse to acknowledge him for it. An unbeliever may have their spirits lifted at the comfort of a peppermint mocha, but they believe that it is because of the peppermint mocha, instead of the reality to which the peppermint mocha points them to, which is Jesus Christ. Every good and pleasurable thing in this life is good because it points to Christ, who made all things that are pleasurable. While common grace allows the unbeliever's heart to soar at a special Christmas choir, it is a special grace that allows the Christian alone to adore the one to whom the Christmas choir points to. And so finally this morning, get out there and shop joyfully. Enjoy a warm beverage from Starbucks. Watch some bowl games. Enjoy your holiday traditions. And as you do, remember that it is because of Jesus we enjoy the holidays. Amen.